I thought being born in America made me Native American, and it got me a scholarship I didn't deserve. I was 17 years old when I found out I wasn't Native American. For years, every time I filled out one of those school self-ID forms, I'd check the little box that said Native American. I'd look at all the options: Asian, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, Caucasian, and none of them sounded right. But Native American? Yeah, that made sense. I was born here, 17 years Native. So when my guidance counselor called me into her office senior year, I figured I was in trouble for gym attendance again. She closed the door and said carefully, "Grant, you keep marking yourself as Native American. Are you sure that's correct?" "Yeah," I said. "I was born here." She tilted her head. "I think you might be Caucasian." I frowned. "No, I'm definitely not Asian." She just stared at me, sighed, and said, "Okay, Grant, you can go." I walked out of that office thinking I just educated an adult. It didn't take long for the universe to prove me right. An email popped up on my cracked Android screen. "Congratulations, you've been selected for the Indigenous Student Achievement Scholarship." I jumped out of bed like I'd won the lottery. Knew it. I ran downstairs waving my phone. "Mom, I got a full ride." She screamed, dropped her coffee, and hugged me so hard my ribs cracked. "A full ride? Oh my god, Grant, you did it. Guess white privilege really is a thing," I said proudly. She laughed through tears. "What?" But I was already calling my friends, yelling that I was officially the first person in our family to go to college for free. She was too busy crying to notice the word Indigenous glowing at the top of the email. After that email, I couldn't stop smiling. I dreamed of going to Ohio State since I was a kid, and now it was actually happening. Full ride. Me, the same guy who almost failed algebra twice. I even got accepted into Ohio State's Indigenous Studies program, which sounded important as hell. My mom was over the moon. She called every relative we had, crying and yelling into the phone, "He's going to college for free." I started packing that same night, even though move-in was months away. I hung my acceptance letter on the wall, kept checking the school website like it was a celebrity's Instagram. For once in my life, I felt like everything I'd done was finally paying off. Not long after, an email popped up about a welcome luncheon for Indigenous students. I showed up in a flannel and flip-flops, feeling like I belonged. The room was filled with people introducing themselves: Cherokee, Navajo, Lakota. When it was my turn, I stood up confidently. "Grant, from Ohio." Someone asked, "What tribe?" I smiled. "The Buckeyes." "OH." When no one answered, I added quietly, "IO." The room went silent. A girl blinked slowly and whispered, "Is he serious?" The program coordinator forced a tight smile. "Well, welcome, Grant." I sat down beside a guy wearing beaded jewelry and leaned over. "Hey, nice costume, man." He didn't answer. Across the table, an elder let out a deep sigh and muttered, "Lord help this child." Then the email started. "Please provide documentation of tribal affiliation to confirm your scholarship eligibility." No problem, I thought. I called the number at the bottom. "Hi, I don't have paperwork, but I can send you my birth certificate." There was a pause. "Sir, your birth certificate isn't proof of Native heritage." "Well, it literally says I was born here." The woman on the line exhaled like she'd aged a decade. "That's not what Native means, sir." Rumors started spreading on campus about the white kid who faked being Indigenous. Someone found my old Facebook post about being so proud to represent my people and shared it on Reddit. The headline read, "Caucasian man discovers America again." Within 24 hours, I was the most famous student on campus for all the wrong reasons. The dean called me in. He had my file open, looking like he was breaking bad news to a golden retriever. "Grant, this scholarship is for students of verified Indigenous descent. Without documentation, we'll have to revoke it." "But I didn't lie," I protested. "I was born here. That's as Native as it gets." He rubbed his temples. "Grant, do you understand what the word Indigenous means?" I hesitated. "Like, native to the land?" He nodded. "Yeah, that's me. I was literally born in Cleveland, at Mercy Hospital." He stared at me for a long moment, then slowly slid a withdrawal form across the desk. "Maybe take a semester off." When I called my mom, she didn't say a word for 10 seconds. Then, "I'm on my way." 4 hours later, she pulled up, red-eyed but still proud. "At least you got accepted, baby. That's more than most." On the drive home, I stared out the window. "Mom," I asked quietly, "if I'm not Native American, what am I?" She sighed. "You're white, sweetheart." "Yeah, I know," I said. "No," she said, glancing over. "Like, you're Caucasian." I blinked. "Wait, where does the Asian part come from?" She laughed so hard she almost ran off the road, wiping tears from her eyes. I knew something was off when you got accepted into that college. When the embarrassment finally wore off, I wrote a letter. I didn't know who else to send it to, so I addressed it to the Ohio State Indigenous Studies Department. "Dear Ohio State Indigenous Studies Department, I'm sorry for bringing down your GPA averages all these years. I promise I'll only claim my actual heritage from now on, whatever that is."